The Bees and I are wrapping up our visit to HBO Max with a look at Down by Law, an early entry from longtime independent filmmaker Jim Jarmusch. This one stars Tom Waits, Roberto Benigni, and John Laurie as a trio of jailbreakers navigating the bayous around New Orleans. It also features an appearance by Ellen Barkin, already established by this time as a magnetic supporting actress. I found this one about 40 years ago on the arthouse circuit. I've watched it a handful of times since, having picked it up on DVD way back when. Neither Bill nor Bob have seen this film, so I'm eager to get their takes on it as first-timers. Bill is familiar with some of Jarmusch's work, so it'll be interesting to find out if he enjoys this one. Before we go watch Down by Law, please take a second to subscribe to Geezerology 2.0. We sample a wide range of films here on the channel, from early talkies to modern horror, and try to put it all into context. We'd be thrilled to hear what you have to say. Okay, let's go have a look at Down by Law. Besides HBO Max, it's on the Criterion channel as well as Tubi. We'll be back in a few seconds for a debrief. Down by Law was 1986. Seinfeld came along, what, about 8 or 9 years later? Mid-90s?
I would say, yeah, earlier.
But Seinfeld was a TV show about nothing. Well, this is pretty much a movie about nothing. I'll give you the plot. 3 guys get arrested, land in jail together, they escape, and then they go wander through the bayou. And I thought it was great. I loved every second of it.
Why am I not surprised?
It's just hanging out with some buddies, enjoying the world that they're living in. That's pretty much all it was. No real through line here. Just hanging out, and making friends.
I have to say, when Stranger Than Paradise came out, which was Jarmusch's first well-known movie, I did go to see it. I was always taking my ex-wife to these movies. She was not my ex-wife at the time, but you know what? It didn't help. It didn't help. And I really loved that movie. And it's, very much a piece of what you can see in this one, which I had never seen before, Down by Law. And, it's beautifully shot in black and white by Robbie Mueller, who, has got a lot of skill in making this stuff look very vivid, considering it's black and white. And then the performances are just, they're just so off the cuff. I mean, it's like, if there's a script, I would be very, very surprised. It's more like, put these 3 guys in, each who has their own idiosyncratic character together, and see what happens. And, they combust, they make up, they blow up again, they laugh at each other, they laugh at everything. It's really a very, very odd movie, but it's very compelling, to tell you the truth. I loved it too. And I thought, about halfway through the first part of it, I was like, oh my God, it's so grindingly slow. And, I was kind of used to this from Stranger in Paradise, but it took a while. And then the momentum, even though it was still kind of a very stately momentum, it just made sense after a while. And then logically, it just...
it picked up a little bit when they got out of that jail cell, right? And when they started getting out into the bayou, because, when they were in that jail cell, everything was so static. It was just 3 guys locked in a small jail cell together, and that was the whole thing. There was nothing to do. It's just, the guy just kind of sitting around and just trying to figure out a way to pass the time,
My favorite part of that whole jail scene thing, of course, was the ice cream for ice cream thing, which went on for very long, and then it went on for too long, and then it didn't go on long enough. I wanted it to go on longer. They just arbitrarily stopped after 3 or 4 minutes, But that was great. I loved it.
Yeah. When you say it was, these idiosyncratic characters, Jarmusch wrote the movie after he cast it, right? Well, that's what it was. He had this idea, And then he decided he wanted Tom Waits, he wanted Roberto Benigni, and he wanted John Lurie, and he went out and hired him. When I hired him, then he wrote the movie. He wrote the script and he wrote the characters based on those three actors that he cast, right? And to me it was perfect because all three of them, that was their personality, right? Right, and because I thought a lot of this, I was thinking like you. I thought, man, these guys are just winging it. It's just just ad lib. It's like what Larry David did with Curb Your Enthusiasm. He just gave them a plot point, and then he just told everybody to wing it. It was all improvisation. Well, this wasn't. This was all scripted by Jarmusch, but it was scripted by Jarmusch after he already knew the actors and knew their personalities, so he wrote to that.
I did not know that. That's very it makes sense.
Because he went on. That was his third film. His first one officially was he was just out of college. It was just basically just him experimenting. It didn't really get much of a release. And then Stranger Than Paradise, and then this one. And this was the one that got him noticed by critics and in the film community. He became an art house darling with this one. Mm-hmm. And he's still working. He puts out a movie every 3 or 4 years. In fact, his most recent one was Father, Mother, Sister, Brother, 2025. About half of his movies are anthologies. He's not into writing and directing really involved, complex plots. Because when he does a feature length, it's pretty much like this, and then about half of his movies are anthologies, where it's just basically just a collection of 3 or 4 different short films. Bob, you didn't like it?
I hated this thing. It just did not do anything for me. I know I'm missing something because apparently a lot of people really love this film. It just seemed to me to be meandering, no real point to it. I'm sorry. I could not get into it.
Well, it didn't have any social commentary in it, so... Well, it wasn't for you, right?
I don't always need social commentary.
This wasn't a movie that appeals to appeals to the brain. It's just a lot of soul. And that's not your alley, right?
It's not. No, and I guess I'm not an art house kind of guy. Maybe a little too simple for that. I don't know.
Yeah. See, this came. I remember when this came out, and I read about it in the Washington Post. I said, I need to see this movie. And there was a little art house theater there in, I don't remember if it was in D.C. or if it was over in Arlington. I don't remember exactly where it was, but it's called the Biograph Theater. I used to go there and watch movies like this all the time. Man, I used to just love this stuff. And this was one of the better ones that I remember seeing. Yeah, I love this thing. And then it back in the DVD days, this was one of the first physical media releases that Criterion did. The thing that always sticks with me is the you scream, I scream, we all scream for ice cream. That is the one thing. Whenever I think Down by Law, that is the one thing that I always remember about it. Right? It's so fantastic, and I just thought it was hilarious when they asked Benigni. John Lurie and Tom Waits, Zach and Jack. They were both in the jail cell for a few days, and then they brought in Bob, Roberto, and Roberto Benigni's character, and he's there for a little while, and they ask him, "What are you in for, Bob?" And then his description of what happened, how he landed in that jail cell, was just hilarious. Broken English, he's trying to find the right words and describe how people were throwing pool balls at him, and he picked up a pool ball and threw it back and hit him in the middle of the head and killed him. That to me was a hell of a lot better than if you had actually seen it.
My other favorite one is when Benigni is cooking the rabbit out in the bayou, and he's talking about how his mother killed the rabbit, chop, and then how she told him to come over, Robertino, whack, and then she stopped him. Oh my
And then,
gosh.
then kept talking about the garlic and the olive oil. He's sitting there out in the bayou. This thing is on a makeshift thing.
Oh, Bob, this tastes like burnt tire.
Yeah, he said, this tastes like tire.
It probably tastes like a tire. Yeah, I know, it's very good.
It was so, I mean, it was just, yeah, it just so many lines like that. And like I said, I mean, it just hit those three guys' personalities perfectly. This was Benigni's first English language movie. And he went on and did 3 or 4 more with Jarmusch after this. And then he was what, 3 or 4 years later when
He won the Oscar.
When he did Life is Beautiful, won the Oscar, yeah. And we haven't really heard from him here in the States much since then. He's made a lot of movies in Italy. But I knew who he was because I remember seeing him. It must have been a Letterman show. He didn't speak much English. I guess he was I don't know if he's a comic or stand-up or what in Italy. And he did Letterman, and he didn't speak much English, but he just was a spastic, just jumping all over the place and yelling and just acting like a 3-year-old kid on a sugar high, And I thought, this is annoying. What is this? But I remembered that, and then so I knew him when I saw this movie. I knew who he was. Obviously I knew who Tom Waits was. This was right after Rain Dogs came out, and I wasn't familiar with Laurie. Laurie did the score for this movie, which was great. Just this low-key jazz.
Well, yeah, his band. I mean, I actually saw his band back in the early 80s in New York, the Lounge Lizards. There was a whole collective of these. They called them like the no wave bands. Lydia Lunch and James White and the Contortions, and Laurie was part of that whole thing. And they were jazz focused, but they were the kind of jazz that will drive you insane if you listen to it for too long, because it's very.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, because it was great as a movie score. But when it's just kind of in the background, and every once in a while you notice these weird sounds happening. But yeah, I couldn't see going and sitting and listening to a concert of that stuff.
Well, my ex-wife and I went, and I'm not going to say anymore. Poor Carol, I put her through a lot.
But he was a painter for a while. But the thing that I do know now about Laurie is that he was one of the first YouTube stars. He did a series on YouTube called Fishing with John, and it would just take people out on a fishing boat, and they'd just be sitting out in the lake or the river or wherever it was, and they'd just be sitting there, just basically having conversations like they were having it Down by Law, right?
I'm going to add that to my research list.
I'm assuming they're still there. I don't think he's done it for a long time, but I remember it being fairly notable when it happened, because that's not the kind of thing that people. That was back when when people didn't, when people started doing web series, when they couldn't get a TV job or something. Fishing with John, I think it was called.
Yeah, there's Tom Waits, Fishing with John. Jim Jarmusch, Willem Dafoe. Yeah, we got the whole crew. This is cool. Excellent. I'm adding it to my list.
I've seen a few of them. It's been a while. Jarmusch would use all 3 of these guys fairly regularly over the coming years. They were part of a repertory company, right? And the woman, the Italian woman who they meet at the little store at the end, where that's actually Roberto Benigni's wife. He always uses her in all of his movies. That was a great scene too. Just out in the middle of the bayou, they find this little general store, whatever the heck it is, called Luigi's Bait Shack or something. Walk in there, and there's this Italian woman cooking them dinner.
And then she was able to supply them with clothes so that they could continue their escape. And one of the funny things is at the very end, when Laurie and Waits are ready to go their separate ways, because you think maybe they're going to go together because they got a combustible relationship, but they're making fun of each other's outfits, and to make their costumes look better, they swap jackets, and they feel much better then. And then they just go down the fork. Forget about the whole thing. So there's two roads diverged in the Robert Frost poem. And of course, Frost is in the story because Benigni's always talking about Walt Whitman and Bob Frost.
Bob Frost, yeah.
Yeah.
And Emily Dickinson.
Emily
Dickinson, yeah. This was Waits' only, I guess you call it a headline. Well, it is a headlining role because he was a top credit on this, so he was a headliner. This is the only time he's ever done that, I think. I can't think of another movie where he was a headliner. But he went on from this to Ironweed, the Jack Nicholson and Meryl Streep movie, where they were both nominated for Oscars. I'm giving this movie a 4.5. I couldn't go to 5 just simply because just technically it was a little rough. The sound was a little rough sometimes, and 4.5 for me. Where are you putting it, Bill?
I'm giving it a 4, and I feel really good about that because I was thinking it was going to be, a bit of a drag. As I said, it kind of started slow and then built up momentum, and it finished slow, but that slow, steady pace of absurdity, I loved it. And as I said, the cinematography, it's just gorgeous. That black and white, I just was knocked out by it, and I thought everybody just contributed to an overall interesting performance. And I can definitely see why Bob didn't like it, because I think you really have to be in the right frame of mind to enjoy this, because I don't know that, you pop this on, on a Saturday afternoon, it may not work for you. So I think you got to be in the right headspace. I don't know what that headspace is. I don't know if I want to go there again, but it was good. I enjoyed it.
How about you, Bobby?
I'm going to give it a 1 because it was a movie. And that's it. So it's kind of like a 3 on the coma score. It exists.
It had a great reception at Cannes at the film festival. I mean,
it's very, very highly regarded as an indie classic. This movie pretty much put Jarmusch on his career path. Critics loved it. The festivals all loved it, as they have most of Jarmusch's films ever since then. They've never broken into the mainstream, but they always do great on the festival circuits. But they never get any wide release. But I don't think he really pushes for that. I think now he's landing. The Dead Don't Die, I know, and I think maybe this last one. I think he's going to Netflix with this stuff now. It's found himself an outlet, but he's never gone with any. There's never been any big studio distribution farm. I guess he's done okay by himself. First of all, the overhead is very, very low. He's not gone broke from that business model. Yeah, so Bill and I really love this movie. Bob, not so much. But tell us what you think about Down by Law. Did you like this? So that wraps up our dive into HBO Max this month. We'll be back next month with some biopics for you.